Hey, everybody, it's Jeff Burton from the Rizzuto Show. Thanks for tuning into the Facebook takeover with, my goodness, Taylor Momsen. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm going to get the geeky fan side of this out of the way first, which nobody watching is going to be surprised about. But I've been a fan for a while. You and I have chatted a handful of times. And the last couple of times that we did it, I'm sure you don't remember this, but we do a picture together, and I started collecting them. Can you see that?
Oh, shit.
Look at you. I think you're 17 in that first one.
Baby. I am a baby in that one. Look at you. Yeah. Without the
I know. You were a baby. I'm still an old man. So.
No. That's great. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's get to talk again, man.
I don't know how we're going to work this one out. We'll try to turn it sideways or something. But hello, and thank you for taking the time for doing this. I know it's been a very, very long time since you've been to St. Louis to play a show. What have you, the $2 question, what have you been doing during all of this downtime, this quarantine? What have you been up to?
I have been, we just released a single. We just released Death Rock and Roll. So I've been doing a lot of promoting from home and figuring out how to work from home, which is different. I'm adapting.
Yeah.
That, and then when I'm not doing this, I've been playing just a ton of guitar.
Oh, that's amazing. It's amazing that you have that to fall back on and to do. And talking about working from home, I broadcasted from my house for like 7 weeks, right? And so 2 weeks ago, I guess 2 Mondays ago or whatever, was my first day back. And then so I've been quarantined in this what we call a producer's room, right? So when I go in there and I start show prepping, I get to listen to the radio station. This morning, I get there at 3 a.m. on the day that I'm going to talk to you on Facebook Live. I turn up the monitor and Death by Rock and Roll was jamming on the point.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. That's kismet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I had listened to it a handful of times, on Spotify, had yet to hear it on the radio. And Donnie Fandango, who's our music director, said that song sounds great on the radio. And I agree. What are your thoughts?
I agree. Thank you so much for playing it, man. That song was a long time in the making, almost 10 years. So it's very cool that it's out in the world now and people can hear it. I've been keeping it all to myself for the record's finished, so I've been listening to it ad nauseum. So it's nice that it's finally out and I can share it.
And share it, yes, is one thing, but then to do this and get out and talk with the people and talk about the process of the record and what you've been doing. And you said, I think right before we went live, that this is your first ever Facebook Live? I
believe it is, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
We are honored.
You're popping my Facebook cherry.
Yes. So a person in your position and what you do, how come you're not the multimedia mogul? You got somebody do that for you, just not interest you, or what?
It's just, when I have to do it, I've always had people around me who are a little bit better. I've got techs and guys who just, they know how to do this stuff. Like, sure. I don't record my own vocal, I sing it, Right. I'm having to learn to adapt to this new world of doing everything yourself. And it's taking me a minute, but I'm catching up slowly.
Yeah. So you pick up the guitar and you start playing. What does Taylor Momsen play to? I'm not bored, but I'm passing the time. I'm trying to be creative. You pick up your guitar. What do you start to play?
Well, I was playing. We did a live stream for Fearless Records for Crew Nation, and so I did a cover of Nick Lowe's Peace, Love, and Understanding for that. Nice. Right now, I've been playing a lot of Oasis. I've been just kind of going through the Oasis records and jamming on Oasis songs.
Oasis going to get back together, yes or no? What do you think?
I hope so. I really hope so. What a reunion that would be.
It would be pretty incredible, but I'm one of those people that when the one brother says, yeah, then I'm all on team that brother. And then when the other brother says the other brother's a dick, then I'm like, yeah, I'm all team that brother. And I'm not even sure which brother is which, to be honest with you.
I love them both. I got to meet Liam years back. We played a festival together, and he was wicked cool. I've yet to meet Noel, so that's on the bucket list. And, if I can, maybe I'll try to put my 2 cents in there.
Maybe you're the person who gets them back together, right?
Come on, you're the perfect duo. Come on.
This has happened before. We could sell some records. Maybe you guys could go along on the tour, that sort of thing.
That's everything you're saying.
Yeah. Other stuff that has happened since the last time we talked. Obviously, the death of Chris Cornell, one of your heroes. Yeah. Just reading an article from I think is it pronounced Kerrang? I think online today, and you just poured your heart out about what happened. And wow, just your thoughts. I mean, one of the guys that's on the show, the lead of the show that I'm on, Rizzuto, is a huge fan, and this man almost broke down on the air. And this is just from a fan standpoint, so I can't imagine what you went through.
It was heavy, man. It was very heavy. It was something I had never experienced before in my life, and it hit me. It hit me hard, to say the least. I think it did a lot of people around the world. I mean, he was such an influence and such a voice and a writer, and I mean, and such an idol of mine. I didn't know how to feel. Obviously, I was devastated, but I didn't know how to process that new emotion of just devastation, I guess. So we left tour. I went, you know what, I'm not in a good place I couldn't get on stage without like crying. Like we covered, Audio Slave and stuff. And it's like, I can't, I'm not in a good spot to be public. So we quit tour, canceled tour, went home. I took some time to reflect and actually started writing again. And we were about to go into the studio. We were talking about going into the studio to start working on the fourth album. And then I got the phone call that Kato, our producer and my best friend in the entire world, had passed on a motorcycle, in a motorcycle accident. And that was kind of the nail in the coffin, for lack of a better term. And I went very down. It got very dark. I went very down into a downward spiral of depression and whatever comes along with that. And it was a very dark period in my life. I wasn't sure how to get out of it. I wasn't sure if I was going to get out of it. I was kind of at a place where I just had given up. I was like, what's the point? What's the point of any of this anymore? And it took a while, but at the end of the day, it was music that saved me again. It was when I felt like I had nothing, I turned to music as my salvation, and I started to write, and then that just kind of started to pour out of me. And that turned into what this album is, in the sense where I didn't have to write this record. This record wrote itself. It was just floodgates opened. And so making this record was a huge part of that healing process of learning how to grieve and how to move forward, because you never move on. You don't get past a loss like that. You don't get past, it never goes back to normal. It's just, you have to learn to live with it and move forward. And that's why I keep saying to people in interviews and stuff that this record really feels like a rebirth. It really feels like a new Pretty Reckless. It feels like our first record again, in the sense that we put everything we had into this album, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. Like everything was thrown into this album. It took everything we had, and so it's crazy that it's coming out now.
Before we get to that process, and I'd love to know how you got and what the tipping point was from mourning to, okay, I got to do this now. But for people who don't know, other than him being a hero of yours, you guys were on that tour.
Yeah, yes, we were, and that was. I mean, it was so crazy because it was such a kind of full circle moment getting that tour. I mean, it was the highest of the high for me. I mean, I think everyone knows I'm a Soundgarden super fan. Have been for years, and Soundgarden was the band, and it comes full circle with Kato too. Not to get too deep into it, because I know not a lot of people knew him, but we all bonded like this. The Pretty Reckless exists because we all loved Soundgarden. Like that was one of the initial reasons that we all worked. And so to get that tour, it was the highest of the highs. I mean, Kato flew to every show. Like it was, we couldn't be more elated. And obviously it ended so tragically that I think the juxtaposition of those emotions was so drastic that it really overwhelmed me.
So what made you go, okay, I've got to get back up on my feet. I've got to get this music out. I've got to get, not out as in the public, but out of me. Was there a sign? Was there just, I'm tired of laying around watching Flintstones? What happened to make you go, I got to do this?
I don't even know exactly. I guess it started with the songs. It started with just, I started to write, not even thinking about it in a sense of like, this is going to be an album or these are going to be songs people are going to hear. I just started to write. And as I started to write, that started to help me mentally. And so as that process sort of began and they turned into complete songs, it was, the next step is, okay, well, now I have to figure out, now I want to record these songs. I want to finish them. It's like, okay, well, now how do we do that? We'd never made a record without Kato before. So that was a whole learning process in itself. And luckily I knew one other guy, a great friend of mine named Jonathan Wyman, who I called up, and he produced, a great engineer, great producer, great guy. And this is the first album I actually co-produced with him. So it was a learning process of how to do this again, basically from step one. And he was really a lifesaver in that. And he allowed me to be the mess that I was and work through it. And it's because there was no hiding from it, And so it's all there in the recordings. It's all there in the writing. It's all there in the songs. And it's very emotional. I still get choked listening to it sometimes.
I'm sure. And I want to talk about the album cover because I have a couple of questions about that because it's phenomenal. And I know you love it too, how it came out.
Well,
but the last,
cover. It's just the
sorry. That's what I meant to say. The album art, the single art. Sorry. But the last one of these conversations I did was with Justin from the lead singer of Blue October, who's gone through a lot of mental highs and lows and stuff. And he credits being able to pick up a guitar when you're down like that to get this stuff out. And I wanted you to talk just real briefly about the importance for people who are watching this that don't have that outlet, that you got to find something or someone to get that out.
You really do. You have to. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I found music at such a young age, and the fact that has sustained me. Like, to me, music's like, it's like food. It's like oxygen. I need it. And the fact that it really is my salvation, and it's the one thing in my life that has never let me down. I can always turn to music, and it's there for me. But for people who don't have that, I can imagine it's a super challenge. I think the best advice I got when I was going through all of this, and I mean, I'm still going through it, but, in the heat of it, at the low points, was look at it like, I'm going to mess up this metaphor. Look at it like it's baby steps. Everything's baby steps. If you try to look at it, if it's a frozen lake and you got to get from one side to the other, if you look at the other side, it's going to seem impossible. It's going to seem so far away. There's no way you could ever make it. So you look down and you take one little step and one little step and another little step. And before you know it, you're going to turn around and you're going to realize you're further to the other side than you were from where you started.
Love it.
And that's kind of how I've been living. It's just one little step at a time, one foot in front of the other.
And being creative means single art. And yes, and the metamorphosis of what I'm seeing here now and then this picture is amazing. Tell me about the process and why you wanted to get up on the bike and all that stuff. Tell everybody who loves that picture so much.
Well, there's a lot of things to that photo. It came about in a couple ways. One, I wanted to make kind of a classic rock and roll first of all, it had to be a photograph that was as bold as the song. That was the first thing. And so I wanted to make kind of a classic, almost 80s rock and roll cover for a single. We'd never really done that. We'd never gone full out for a single cover, only for the albums. So we shot it with the guy who shot Going to Hell, Danny Hastings. So I got to work with him again, who I love him. He's great. He's Wu-Tang, Eminem, big guy. And yeah, he's great. So much fun. Such a positive work environment because his whole goal is to just see your vision through. Like, he's such an artist. So really great to work with him again. But the inspiration behind that was bold and classic, and really there's it's a lot of paying homage to Kato and to the people we lost. So, obviously the motorcycle is homage, and he loved 80s rock and roll. 80s rock isn't really my thing, but it was his thing. And so it's like trying to throw in things that meant something to me to bring it kind of full circle. So it's kind of in his memory. And there's a lot of there's a lot of hidden little Easter eggs in that picture too that I don't want to give away yet, but when the album comes out, you'll notice things about it.
Yeah.
Sense. So there's a lot of hidden meaning behind there's a lot of hidden things in that photo, which is also just one of a series. That's just the first that's come out. So
nice.
There's more to come.
Do you think we're going to be touring anytime soon? Do you think, what do you think is timetable? What do you think it's going to be like? Honestly,
I have no idea. It's mind blowing to me. It's crazy. I'm hearing 2021 is what that's kind of what I'm hearing. I mean, it's a real bummer. It's very difficult to release music and not be able to complete the circle and play it live.
Right.
We're certainly itching to play. But I'm trying to look. I mean, we had amazing touring set up for this round. It was like all the festivals. It was the Foo Fighters, Guns N' Roses, Pearl Jam. Like the list went on. And I'm trying to look at it positively. Like, okay, nothing's canceled. It's just pushed. It's just postponed. Yeah. You just got to ride the storm out, and it'll pass. Like every storm does. And then music's gonna come. You know, live music, I think, in one way will come back better than ever because everyone wants it so bad. You know, everyone needs it. So that's at least my positive spin on it.
Well, I think even if we all have to stand 2 feet away from each other and wear masks, when we can stand and look up and see bands like yours and Foo Fighters and Pearl Jam and whatever playing live again, I mean, it's going to be freaking amazing. So hopefully sooner than later. And I know we got to wrap up here in a second, but I want to talk about the single Death by Rock and Roll. The freaking guitar. Are you kidding me? Wow. Where did that come from?
It came from, that's all Ben, man.
Wow. He lets that hair down and just goes. Wow.
He doesn't suck.
No, he doesn't.
No,
he doesn't. He's so quiet too. And then I press play on that, and 4 seconds in, it just that. And was there inspiration? Is there anything? Where did that come from? Did you just come in and go build a song around this? It was incredible.
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask him. I don't want to speak for him, but I know that we all worked very hard on that song. I mean, that song, Death by Rock and Roll, is a song basically 10 years in the making. When I first met Ben and Cato, Ben had a demo of like a verse and chorus of the song Death by Rock and Roll. And this was before we were a band. And then Pretty Reckless started, all that, tabled that song, didn't think anything of it. And when all this went down, that line came back around, and I went, we should finish that. Like this is very fitting now, and to everything that's happened. And that was kind of the start of the album, of completing that song, recording it. And so I know I did, and to speak for Ben, in the way he played it was just attack. That was the whole point, is balls to the wall, like battle cry for rock and roll, attack it.
Yeah. Well, well done. It worked. And as a runner, I've already put it on a running playlist, because that is one of those that anybody out there that runs, put that on your playlist, and then also call the radio station and request the song, because it's awesome. Taylor, thank you very much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it very, very much. And hopefully we'll see you live in person very, very soon. Anything you want to say to the fans on the way out? Go right ahead.
Just, hey guys, and check out the new song, Death by Rock and Roll. It feels really good to be back, and can't wait to see you all when the storm passes. It's going to be great. Stay safe, everyone.
Taylor Momsen, Pretty Reckless.